First up, begin with the pictures that came in a short while back of Prime Minister Narendra Modi departing for Kazan in Russia, the stage which is now set for a two-day BRICS Summit as the Prime Minister leaves for Russia. And on the agenda set to be several of those issues, including security, counter-terrorism, the Indian Diaspora, which is all set to welcome Prime Minister Modi, poster that has been put up in Russia's Kazan. And as far as the pictures that came in of the Prime Minister as he departs for Russia, there has been a departure statement as well that has come in on part of the Prime Minister as well. As far as this summit that would be held between the 22nd till the 23rd of October in Russia, that holds a lot of importance for India, China and Russia, both in the terms of economic collaborations and geopolitical strategy, as BRICS Summit agenda revolves around strengthening multilateralism, boosting trade and enhancing cooperation in various fields like technology, health, energy and sustainable development among its member nations. So as far as this summit is also concerned, it is a valuable opportunity to assess the progress initiatives that has been launched by the BRICS countries. Let me go across to Pradeep Datta, who's joining us right now. Pradeep, good morning. The Prime Minister departs for Russia. Lots on the agenda. Important point as far as this is coming at a time when India, Russia, China, all of them will be on the same stage.
Yes, you're absolutely right. The BRICS Summit is going to be really very important because Prime Minister has already departed for Russia and Kazan on 22nd and 23rd. There is going to be the 16th edition that will be chaired by Russia. One, everybody knows that there is going to be bilateral between Russia and India. The two important issues that India is really going to discuss, because recently Indian Prime Minister had been to Ukraine also. He had met the Prime Minister of that area, Zelensky. So he is going to talk about one is that how to de-escalate situation, because how the diplomacy can be used and dialogue can be used for de-escalation of the situation between Russia and Ukraine. The second important thing will be they will be talking about the economic cooperation and the cooperation at different level, how the trade is to be increased between the two countries. And the third thing will be he will be talking about the issue related to many of the youngsters who were lured to fight against the Ukrainian forces. Already 80 of them have returned back. Still 20 of them are remaining there. So that will be discussed. And the second important, all eyes will be on whether there is going to be the bilateral between Xi Jinping and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because already we have seen that there has been a disengagement so far the eastern sector of Ladakh is concerned. So everybody feels the atmosphere is quite positive and there are chances of bilateral between the two countries, and they are also going to discuss about various issues, including the cross-border terrorism is also be one of the issues that the Indian Prime Minister will be discussing, because in the recent past we have seen that how the China had been siding with Pakistan on the several issues and even tried to block many of the UN resolutions where they were trying to designate some of the people as global terrorists. So India will be discussing about those things also. And third important aspect will be India, if there is going to be a bilateral between India and Iran, because already we know that the situation has escalated in the Middle East, especially between the Israel and Iran. Right. We have seen that earlier it was a fight
between Israel and
Israel.
Pradeep, as far as Prime Minister's departure statement is concerned, he said leaving for Kazan, Russia to take part in the BRICS Summit, as India attaches immense importance to BRICS, and I look forward to extensive discussions on a wide range of subjects. And of course, when it comes to the leaders that he will be meeting and also engaging with the Indian diaspora, let's first listen in as far as the reactions that are now coming in on what's in store for the Prime Minister's upcoming visit.
Prime Minister's main engagement is, of course, participation in the BRICS Summit. Other than that, he would have some bilateral meetings also on the sidelines of the summit. One of them, which is formed up, is with President Putin. Some others may also work out once we resolve the scheduling related issues.
For over 70 years, Brazil and India have been close partners in coordinating in the UN, in WTO, in all multilateral organizations. But more recently, the conversations are not really taking place so much in Geneva, in New York, and Rome, for example. They are also taking place in Delhi, because our bilateral relations are booming in terms of cooperation, trade, investments. And I think that I would single out three areas which are quite promising, which is agriculture, energy and defense. But these are three areas which stand out, but there are other areas, of course.
All right. As far as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is concerned, as he is departed for Kazan, Russia, there to attend the 16th BRICS Summit, there is a departure statement as Ankit will bring forward on what's on the agenda and, of course, the meeting that will be happening with the Prime Minister of other leaders of the world. Yes, Ankit.
Well, here's what the Prime Minister says. This is a PIB release with the Prime Minister writing in first person. So he says, I am departing today on a two-day visit to Kazan at the invitation of His Excellency Mr. Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, to attend the 16th BRICS Summit. India values the close cooperation within BRICS, which has emerged as an important platform for dialogue and discussion on issues concerning the global developmental agenda, reformed multilateralism, climate change, economic cooperation, building resilient supply chains, promoting cultural and people-to-people connect, among others. The expansion of BRICS with the addition of new members last year has added to its inclusivity and the agenda for the global good. Building upon the annual summit held in July 2024 in Moscow, my visit to Kazan will further reinforce the special and privileged strategic partnership between India and Russia. So a line there specifically on Russia. I look forward to meeting other leaders from BRICS as well. Remember, Amita, this time you have Iran, you have Ethiopia, and you have the United Arab Emirates, which is also joining the BRICS. Their names are not adding to the BRICS, but they are most definitely a part of it. And two of those countries in the BRICS, Russia and Iran, are essentially involved in wars at the moment. So it would be interesting to see if, among everything else, India can make some more headway, because we are the only country that appears to be on good terms with everyone involved.
And Russia and Ukraine as well. Ankit, thank you for that. As far as that has been the departure statement, let's Pradeep also listen in and also talk about why, when it comes to the Russia visit of the Prime Minister, because this is the second such visit. Last, when he attended, when it comes to the 22nd India-Russia Annual Summit in Moscow, this was when the bilateral and on personal levels, when it comes to the talks that were held with President Putin, Prime Minister Modi was also conferred the Russia's highest civilian award. Thereafter, meetings also happened with the Ukrainian president. All of this that is happening, as Ankit pointed out, that India being on good terms with all of these countries.
Yes, Ankit rightly said, because this is the time when we already see there's a war going on between Ukraine and Russia. And prime ministers have always advocated one thing, that there need to be a peace, need to be given a chance. And for that, he had always been saying that diplomacy and can be used, diplomacy and dialogue can be used for the de-escalation of the situation. And that is what actually the prime minister had been telling both the Ukrainian president as well as the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. So he's playing a role of a peacemaker here in this region. And in fact, everybody is expecting that if there is going to be any bilateral with Iran also, with India has a good relationship, maybe India is going to give a similar kind of a lesson to them also, that you need to de-escalate situation, because if the situation is going to escalate in that region, it is going to in fact have an impact on the economy of all the countries, both in Middle East as well as in South Asia. So that will not be good for the region. So because this BRICS Summit is also important, is that, as rightly said, that has expanded. It started with Brazil, Russia, India and China, and over the period of time we saw that even South Africa also joined, so it was named from BRIC, it became BRICS. But now 4 more countries are part of it. Ethiopia is also there, UAE is also there. So we have the countries like Iran also. So all eyes will be on how the Prime Minister is going to interact with them, because India is one country that is maintaining good relation and ties with each and every country. And so far as Russia is concerned, because the special mention in this PIB release also, because Prime Minister is talking about Russia, because Russia has always been India's all-weather friend, and India's diplomacy is that not put eggs in one basket only, not to look only towards the United States of America, but though also maintain good personal ties and strategic relations with Russia, because when it comes to the energy
when it comes
supply.
to India, Russia, China, all of these leaders being on the same stage as being part of the BRICS Summit, we also talk about exactly what's on the agenda. Let's put that out for our viewers to see. Prime Minister himself talking about as he departs for Russia, where there is transparent multilateral trading system to edge out when it comes to the US dollar in international trade. Trade one being one of the major focus areas as we talk about. Push for the use of national currencies also for trade. Let's also talk about fostering relationship with Russia and also with China. Of course, as far as the recent developments with China that has also taken place at disengagement at the LAC, leverage for the technological cooperation as well. That is also on the agenda, where energy security core priority for India, putting its priority first as far as clean and renewable energy also seems to be the focus and this summit, highlighting when it comes to cross-border terrorism is also a key agenda. India has always made it clear terror and talks cannot go hand in hand. Also highlighting, as far as we talk about when it comes to security is also concerned, that is also on the top agenda of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So bilaterals that are now expected to happen with President Putin and also with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, as far as multilateral when it comes to the trade, security, even when it comes to economy and also cross-border terrorism seems to be on the agenda as far as this upcoming meeting is concerned. Now we talked about one aspect, that is when it comes to with Russia. Let's in the meantime also talk about when it comes to the other aspect, and that is when it comes to India's relations with China. Two top-level meetings between foreign ministers Dr. S. Jaishankar and Wang Yi that happened in July. 30 multiple rounds that we are looking at of diplomatic rounds of meetings, 21 when it comes to military levels of corps commander level talks that have happened in the last 4 years ever since the Galwan clash, has now today resulted in a significant breakthrough in the LAC standoff. Now, on the eve of the BRICS Summit in Russia, India and China have now finally sealed an agreement over disengagement at the LAC, with the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar confirming this development and asserting that the disengagement process has been completed and both countries have gone back to the patrolling pact of 2020 just before Galwan clashes. Now, as per the Modi government, this outcome is very of the product of patience and preserving diplomacy, and also a process that began 4 years ago in September 2020 that has now resulted in the disengagement level talks.
As a result of these discussions, agreement has been arrived at on patrolling arrangements along the line of actual control in the India-China border areas, leading to disengagement and a resolution of the issues that had arisen in these areas in 2020. And we will be taking the next steps on this.
So talk about as far as the implications that are also concerned, because this is also coming at a time strategically important as the Prime Minister has departed for Russia. He is expected to meet with the Chinese leadership there, as well as a bilateral is set to be on the cards. Let's talk about the possible implications here. The breakthrough that is now coming at a time may possibly paving way for Prime Minister and Xi Jinping bilateral, of course, as the Prime Minister has departed for Russia. We also talk about another development that indicates there is a thaw in ties after the 2020 Galwan clashes. We have seen several levels when it comes to military and diplomatic level talks that have happened in the last 4 years. Patrolling along the LSA may lead to total disengagement. This is a situation that India hopes to achieve. Was prior to the June 2020 clashes, both sides agreeing to resume patrolling along the LAC. This has been a big development as far as when it comes to the friction level, the points that were concerned. And as far as India-China patrolling agreement is concerned, this seems to be when it comes to the key implications has come to light. Let's listen into the reactions that have been coming in on how much focus that was put in by India to actually go back to the level before the June 2020 Galwan clashes. Listen in.
We are neighbors. We need to handle things with an ability to address difficult issues, but move towards solutions. So it is a success of our persistence that we need to resolve the issues on the border before other things are addressed. And I think the Chinese seem to have understood that we mean serious business on this occasion. And so if 2 billion people can address their problems, this is good news.
Well, this is good news, of course it is, but when it comes to the politics around it, because we have seen that as far as the China issue is concerned and the possible taking over territory has been one of the main contentious issues that has been time and again raised by the opposition, and exactly this is happening also during the time when the country would be facing assembly elections in states with the new patrolling arrangements that have now come to light. As far as leaders from the opposition have already started to raise their suspicions over the statements that have now been made on part of Government of India.
They should also answer that the patrolling points on which the Indian contingent was not allowed to go, will they be allowed now, and from when they'll be starting their patrolling over there? There are so many issues. These are all just bluffs and rhetorics of Bharatiya Janata Party. They have failed with the regard of China issue. So BJP is just trying to fool the people of the country.
Liquor अगर चीन का चंदा करना है ग्लोबल टाइम्स वाला प्रोपेगेंडा, यही है कांग्रेस पार्टी का आजीवन का धंधा। क्योंकि कांग्रेस पार्टी हमेशा सेना के बयानों पर नहीं, भारत के बयानों पर नहीं, बल्कि ग्लोबल टाइम्स के प्रोपेगेंडा पर ज्यादा यकीन रखती है। इसीलिए जब सेना स्पष्ट तरीके से कोई बात कहती है, चाहे सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हो, चाहे बालाकोट एयर स्ट्राइक हो, कांग्रेस पार्टी सेना से ही सबूत मांगती है और उनके बताए हुए बयानों को भी झूठा बोलती है।
Now there is a development with China on the border issue. Both the countries have agreed that they are going to do a joint patrolling. The forces have come down. It's a sign of development. But these things Congress party cannot digest. Being subservient to China for so long, accepting donations from China for so long directly by the Congress party, and now they are saying that we are doing bluff. No, we don't bluff. We perform and we show through the people, and it's being showing.
Well, it seems nothing is enough to assuage when it comes to the opposition here in India as politics continue, war of words continues. But this has been the situation that is now India has managed and rather succeeded to achieve before the 2020 Galwan clashes. We'll get you more